Good morning. This is pre-algebra for Thursday. I hope you've had a good morning so far. I'm looking outside right now. I'm recording and it's raining, but hopefully when you're watching this, it's going to be a beautiful day. All right, today we're going to look at lesson 88 and we are going to talk about negative coefficients. Sounds super hard, super easy. Okay. Let's, first of all, I got our little guy up here at the top with some eyes saying, look at the signs. Okay, the biggest mistake kids make in what we're going to do today is they forget about the signs. You've got to make sure you pay attention. Is it positive or negative, okay? Let's look at our first problem. We've done these, you actually have done these in first and second grade. They may not have been written this way, but you have. Your teacher said, if you had 2 in this hand and you have some in this hand and all together you had 6, how many are over here? She was trying to get you to think about subtraction, really, okay? Now, we have some number plus 2 equals 6. X plus 2 equals 6. Now, we know from all of our experience that when it says to add 2, that we're going to subtract 2 because we have 2 rules. 2 procedures that we have to remember. Number 1, do the opposite of what the sign says. Only time in your life you're allowed to be a rebel and do the opposite of what you're told. Every other time you should submit to authority. Most of all, submit to God. All right, but in algebra, whenever it tells you to add, you subtract. When it says to subtract, you add. When it says multiply, you divide. You always do the opposite of what the problem says. Second, whatever you do on the left, you must do on the right. You know, we're supposed to treat people equally. Doesn't matter their social standing, it doesn't matter their economic standing or their position. Everybody is equal in God's eyes. You know, and in algebra, that is one of the things that we can learn is God says everyone is equal and we want to keep things balanced. Well, we're going to keep our equation balanced by remembering that we have to keep our sides equal. When we get our sides, when we mess up and we don't keep them balanced, our answer is wrong. When we don't treat people the same, no matter who they are, kind and thoughtful, then we're out of balance. We're sinning. All right? So what are we going to do here? It says to add, we're really going to subtract. We're going to subtract 2 from each side because whatever I do on the left, I must do on the right. Okay, this cancels, leaving us only x. 6 minus 2 is 4. Our answer is 4. Now, we have been literally doing that since the beginning of the school year. Okay, not a problem. Look at the next one. 2x plus 1/2 equals 3/4. Again, we've done these for many, many weeks. This is a 2-step equation. At first, we have to get rid of the constant, the thing that's the same. It has no variable to it. Okay, so we have 1/2. It says to add it, so we're going to subtract 1/2. Of course, we're going to subtract from both sides. This is going to cancel, leaving us 2x. Over here, we have to make our equations have common denominators. Our common denominator is going to be a 4. So 2 times 2 is 4, so 1 times 2 is 2. Now, I have 3/4 minus 2/4. My answer is 1/4. Now my equation, and I hope you can see that, it says 2x equals 1/4. What do? I got to get rid of this 2 that's next to the x. 2x means to multiply, so I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So that means I'm going to say 1/4 divided by 2, which really means I'm going to multiply it, right? Because if I have, remember, if I have it right up here so you can see it, when I have 2, that is what I'm going to divide by, but when I multiply, I have to use the reciprocal 1/2. So I'm going to take 1/4 times 1/2, and my x equals 1/8. Now, neither of those problems are really new to us, okay? Neither one of those is new to us. What is new to us is what we're going to get to now. Now, I have a negative 2x equals 4. What would I do? It says do the opposite of the problem. It says to multiply, so you're going to divide. What do you divide by? you divide by negative 2. This negative sign goes with my coefficient. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is going to cancel out. I'm going to write it over here. Is going to give us x. Now I say 4 divided by negative 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. Because only one of them has a negative sign, my answer is negative. So my answer is negative 2. Now, if you don't want to divide by a negative number, you can multiply both sides by negative 1. When a number is multiplied by 1, it doesn't change its value, okay? Excuse me. When we multiply by a negative 1, what we're doing is we're changing the signs, but we're not changing its value because we're going to change the sign of everything, okay? So if I multiply negative 3x by 1, I have to multiply the 4 and the 10, okay? And you can do that, okay? So let's do that on this one. If I multiply by negative 1, this becomes 3x. If I multiply positive 4 by negative 4, it becomes a negative 4. Then I have to multiply 10 by negative 1, it becomes a negative 10. So my problem now has 3x minus 4 equals negative 10, okay? So I'm just gonna add the 4. So if I add 4 over there, I've got 3. This is going to cancel, giving me 3x. Now I say negative 10 plus a positive 4 is a negative 6. So I have 3x minus 6. So what do? I divide both sides by 3. Now I have x. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. Now what if I had multiplied by that negative? I'm going to rewrite this problem real quickly. If I don't multiply by the negative 1, okay, let's just leave our problem as it is. Say, okay, well this says to add 4, I have to deal with the constant first, so I'm going to subtract 4. Okay, this cancels, leaving me negative 3x, and then I say 10 minus 4 is 6. Now I'm going to divide by a negative 3, okay, so if I divide by negative 3 on the left, I must divide by negative 3 on the right. These are going to cancel, leaving me an x. Then I have to say 6 divided by 3 is 2. The 6 is positive, the 3 is negative, so one sign is negative, that means my answer is negative. So my answer is negative 2. The difference between the two ways I work this, on this one, I multiplied by a negative 1. Then I solved my problem. Here, I didn't. All it does is changes when you mess with the negatives, okay? And either way is correct. Mrs. Turner will accept it either way because either way is right. Let's look at the next problem. We have negative 2x plus 5 equals 9. I'm not going to multiply by negative 1 on this problem. I'm just going to work my problem, okay? So it says to add 5, so I'm going to what? Subtract 5. This is going to cancel, leaving me 2x equals 9 minus 5 is 4. Now I need to do what? I need to divide. What am I going to divide by? By negative 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. This cancels, leaving me only an x. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. Okay? I want you to look at this next problem. Okay? It has a negative coefficient. We can choose to do this by multiplying by a negative 1. I'm going to do that just so you have the opportunity to work through that. So let's multiply every single term by negative 1. Negative 3x times negative 1 gives us 3x. 1/2 times negative 1 gives us a negative 1/2. 3/8 times negative 1 gives us a negative 3/8. Now, let's solve our problem just like normal. We got to get rid of the 1/2, so instead of subtracting it, we're going to add. This is going to cancel, leaving us 3x equals. What are we going to do here? We're going to make a common denominator, which is going to be, okay, so we have negative 3/8 plus, we're going to change this to an 8, okay? So this is 4. So now what do we have? We have a negative 3/8, and we're going to add a positive 4. So what is our answer there, okay? So we're going to have a negative 1/8, okay? So now what are we going to do? We're going to multiply by 3x, okay? So we have 3, I'm sorry, I said multiply, we're going to divide by 3. So then we have a negative 1/8 times, really, instead of putting 3 over 1, we're going to put 1 over 3. This is going to cancel, and we're going to have a negative 1/24, okay? Negative 1/24. Now, if you look at this in your book, where I'm trying to see where I copied that problem from,